The Europeans will have to agree to any possible deal, because they will be an essential part of any security guarantees, any prosperity package, any sanctions relief, any decisions on the European future for Ukraine. No peace without the Europeans. I want to be very clear. You can negotiate without the Europeans if you prefer, but it will not bring a peace at the table. Europe is rearming, but we must now go beyond. Europe has to learn to become a geopolitical power. It was not part of our DNA. We conceived ourselves as a political construction to provide peace. We delivered. Second, a single market to provide growth and prosperity. We delivered. Now we have to reform it in this new order. In this new geopolitical environment, Europe has to become a geopolitical power. But credibility is not only a question of missiles. It is in large part a question of determination. If we want to be taken seriously on the European continent and beyond, we must show the world our unwavering commitment to defend our own interests. It starts, of course, with continuing to extend our support to Ukraine, but it could nicely follow with fending off unjustified tariffs and politely declining unjustified claims on European territory. This is what we did, and this is what we will do. I fully support President Trump's drive towards a negotiated peace, one that should be just, lasting, and robust. And I want to believe that we're getting closer. But as discussions are taking shape, Russia keeps pounding civilians and destroying energy facilities with the obvious aim of freezing Ukrainians into submission. The answer cannot be to cave into Russia's demands, but to increase pressure on Russia instead. The Europeans will have to agree to any possible deal, because they will be an essential part of any security guarantees, any prosperity package, any sanctions relief, any decisions on the European future for Ukraine. No peace without the Europeans. I want to be very clear. You can negotiate without the Europeans if you prefer, but it will not bring a peace at the table. Europe is rearming, but we must now go beyond. Europe has to learn to become a geopolitical power. It was not part of our DNA. We conceived ourselves as a political construction to provide peace. We delivered. Second, a single market to provide growth and prosperity. We delivered. Now we have to reform it in this new order. In this new geopolitical environment, Europe has to become a geopolitical power. But when I speak about Europe becoming a power, I don't speak about France or Germany becoming a power. I speak about Europe. So we have to think and act as Europeans, I would say by design. And this is what we have to do now.
Tomorrow, there will be a support group for Ukraine with everyone present here in Munich. And I think that now, above all, we need to work on what we want to ask for. And ask, what do we want? We want security guarantees for Ukraine, but we also want things for Europeans. Ukraine is defending its territory, and so it is negotiating on territorial issues. The Europeans, all the members of the coalition of volunteers are providing security guarantees. This is what we worked on and decided in January, which was an important step. But we as Europeans also have things to discuss. That's why we need to be at the table to discuss issues of prosperity, the future of our Europe, and the security architecture. So now we need to prepare this as Europeans so that at the right moment we are ready for discussions with the Russians. Thank you very much. I have to run.
Are you going to invite the Russians?
No, I don't think so, unless the war were over, but I don't feel that's what's going to happen. So it's not on the agenda.
A political storm is building in Germany, and it's centered on one question. Should Berlin pick up the phone and call Moscow? A new YouGov poll cited by the DPA news agency reveals that 58% of Germans support direct talks between Chancellor Friedrich Merz and Russian President Vladimir Putin to help end the war in Ukraine. Only just over a quarter oppose the idea. The numbers are striking. Even more telling, support is strongest among Merz's own conservative voters, with 64% backing negotiations. The message from the public appears clear: talk. But Chancellor Merz has so far held back. Speaking last week in Abu Dhabi, he expressed skepticism about restarting direct dialogue with Moscow, especially if Germany and the European Union remain excluded from the ongoing trilateral talks between Russia, the United States, and Ukraine. Merz says he is ready to engage, but only if Germany has a seat at the table. Meanwhile, pressure is mounting at home. Opposition voices are growing louder, demanding immediate outreach to the Kremlin. Alternative for Germany co-leader Tino Kruppala urged the Chancellor and Parliament to take a step forward and finally call Moscow, warning that Germany faces looming deindustrialization. Since 2022, Europe's largest economy has struggled with stagnation and soaring energy prices, widely linked to the halt of cheap Russian gas imports. Factories have slowed, costs have risen, economic confidence has wavered. Across Europe, the debate is shifting. French President Emmanuel Macron has also signaled interest in re-engaging Moscow, voicing concern that European powers are being sidelined in high-level negotiations. Paris and Moscow have already restored technical diplomatic contacts. And from the Kremlin, the message is blunt. Spokesman Dmitry Peskov said neither Macron nor Merz has made direct contact, despite it being, in his words, a simple move. Quote, "If you want and need to, you can simply call President Putin. Putin has never shied away from direct engagement." End quote.
Indeed, there were in fact genuine contacts that took place, and this is something we can unequivocally confirm. These contacts, should the desire and the necessity arise, will undoubtedly help to quite promptly establish a constructive dialogue at the very highest level.
Up to this point, we have not received any clear indications that such a desire actually exists. However, we certainly did take note of Mr. Macron's statement regarding the necessity of establishing relations with Russia. We have long stated that reducing our relations to a zero state is illogical, counterproductive, and detrimental, and Russia has always been a proponent of maintaining dialogue, which, in our opinion, in our firm conviction, can contribute to resolving the most pressing, the most complex problems.
So now the question hangs over Berlin. Will Chancellor Merz follow public opinion and dial Moscow, or will Germany remain on the sidelines as others shape the future of Europe's most devastating conflict in decades? The pressure is rising, the economic stakes are mounting, and for Germany, time may not be on its side.